Hi everyone, you're welcome again to Evolve with Kenny. I'm excited to be here with you, and I know so many of us have been asking so many questions. When is the next guest going to show up? Thank you once again for joining, and we're so happy the crew is excited about this. Our next guest, I have been looking forward to speaking with him. Before we go into the interview, again, my name is Kenny, and if you are new on this channel, please subscribe, like, share. If you have a question, if you have a comment, if you have some clarification based on the topics that we bring here, you can put it on the comment, or you can also reach out to me in my email address that is scrolling on your screen. Again, the rationale behind this channel is to evolve us to the better version of ourselves, inspire us, bring people that have done things that are significant, that could be a source of inspiration to us. Like I mentioned, like everyone, we are a function of inspiration. Some of us are internally motivated. We're able to bring the ginger out. Some of us just need that extra push. We need that external inspiration, and that's what we're trying to achieve on the channel. So once again, you are welcome to Evolve with Kenny. So today I will be introducing our guest after this musical break. Thank you. You're welcome once again from that break. And like I mentioned, I'm excited about this. My guest is somebody that I look up to in terms of business ideas. He is somebody that is intentional about scaling up in terms of multiple streams of income. Is a proponent for that kind of life, and he's also somebody I hold in high esteem in terms of spirituality. So you should know why I'm excited to have him here. Actually, we're doing this in my house, and I'm happy to also have him in my house. His name is Mr. Dapo, and I'm happy to have you, Mr. Dapo. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Nice to have you, sir.
I must say it's so good to be here, so thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let me say, should I say I'm starstruck? I'm starstruck right now looking at I mean, yeah. Yeah, so, well, I know you, but my people in the house, the fans on the show, they like to meet you, and you can just tell us your name again and who you are. You want to give us maybe an idea of your journey to Canada. This is one thing I usually ask for so many of my guests, so I hope you're not uncomfortable about that.
No problem.
Yeah.
All right, good morning, everyone. It's so good to be here. My host here, please pardon all the accolades he's given me, is actually one of my bosses. He's someone I've known for quite a while, and his integrity speaks for itself. So he has a lovely family, and I'm glad to have a relationship with him. My name is Dapo Araoye. I'm married to a wonderful woman, and I have two boys. I moved to Canada in 2019. Straight to Regina, Saskatchewan, and it's been from one step to another. God has been good. I'm a minister of the gospel. I'm an author. I've authored 3 books. I have more coming on the way, so watch out for that next year. And I also do business, practically real estate, all types of real estate. But for now, I'm doing more of Airbnb and all of that.
Cool. Cool, interesting. Like I mentioned, this is somebody with wearing so many caps. In fact, I feel like bringing him again for different conversation. You know, you heard about it. He's an author. Has written 3 books already. You know, and he's also a minister of the gospel. Sorry, I didn't mention that. I wanted us to focus on your business as Airbnb. Airbnb is one business that I've heard about. I've read about it. I've heard people, all those influencers talk about it, motivate people about it. But when I heard your story, when I heard what you're doing in that space and how you've been able to scale up, how you've been able to improve, I've been itching to really hear from you in person, how you came into that business. And first of all, how did you come into that business?
Okay, thank you very much. So Airbnb is a business that I should have gotten into it like, let's say 2 years before I did.
Oh, really?
So it's something that I always wanted to do just because I found the style interesting. You know, put your place on rent, you know, stage it like an hotel, and you get to charge hotel prices. But the perks of Airbnb is that you are giving people value that they cannot get at an hotel. Because for you to get a living room in an hotel, you have to pay premium price. Those are the things we call presidential suites in hotels.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
And
that's
you
right.
know the kind of prices you have to pay. You have to pay a cutthroat price for that. And this is Airbnb giving people at a hugely discounted price for people to be able to stay in. Also, the kind of amenities you get there is so much, you can't compare it. So it resonated with me because of I'm an economist. I studied economics.
I can tell from your
studied economics, and so some of the things that in natural economics, supply and demand is always in your head.
That's right.
So I started looking at my city and I said, you know what? How many hotels do we even have? No, we don't have much of those.
You're right.
3 years ago now, I just went for a weekend getaway with my family at Moose Jaw, and one of the things that happened was we struggled to get an hotel accommodation because how many hotels are in Moose Jaw? And you know that if anyone wants to go and do anything in Moose Jaw, if you can't get a place, the next place will be Regina, and just say they just want to drive down. So even in Regina, how many hotels do we have? You have also been in the space of welcoming people from the airport and taking them. So you obviously have an idea of how many hotels we have around and stuff like that. So it helps you to know that then there is the opportunity there.
That's right.
So that means that when it comes to hospitality, Regina has a high demand, but not a huge rate of supply. So for me, I wanted to do a business where it's a business that can work, a business that there is a need there. Exactly. So because with every business, you have to be solving a problem. If you are not solving a problem, then it's a waste of time. So because I knew that there was a problem of hospitality in this space, I decided to venture into that business to be able to be one of the people that is solving that business, and at the end of the day, you know, taking profits to myself.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like the visibility study that you just painted there. There's a demand. There's not enough supply to cater for that demand
at all,
and that's where that potential for business comes in, right?
Exactly.
Which is good. So we are talking about short-let homes. You're talking about the value that customers get when they come into short-let homes. They have the flexibility of having a sitting room, you know, having a bedroom to themselves,
and also privacy.
For privacy, right?
Privacy is also a huge part of it.
Like having their own home outside their own, you know, where they stay. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because I stayed in an Airbnb. I stay in hotels, you know, and I had the opportunity to stay in an Airbnb in Calgary, and you know that privacy, that flexibility was something of value for us. Now, you've given us the idea of what the market looks like. So for you, tell us about your Airbnb business.
Okay.
So tell us how you started and how it has been for you.
Okay. How I started is very funny. Like I said, I've always wanted to do it. But then my wife was adverse to the idea. She believed more in traditional renting. And also because I've worked in that space.
Okay.
So she felt, you know, the traditional renting space so well, why are you trying to venture into something else? And also the uncertainty of hoping that someone will book a place as against rent coming in on the first of every month.
That is a question we did get to, because people want guaranteed income. Yeah, that's the word, guaranteed income. Where we have a space where there's no guaranteed income. We have to depend on people, booking or having.
I don't know if you want me to answer that now or later.
Yeah, that will be later.
Okay, yes. So I will speak about guaranteed in both aspects, and there'll be a lot of clarity for whoever wants to look at into that. Yeah. So we've always wanted to do that, and so when we fixed our basement, so we later put it on rent because Amos 3:3 says, "Shall two work together except they be agreed."
Do you want that agreement?
Exactly. The Bible says two are better than one, and they shall have a better reward for their labor. So if my wife didn't agree, I didn't go ahead with it. But so then fast forward, a friend of ours came in from Saskatoon for a weekend getaway in Regina with her family, and because we are close, decided to pay us a visit. And then she started talking about Airbnb at my place, about how much, what the wonder she's been doing with our basement on Airbnb. And then she showed us the result and everything, and then showed my wife. And then that was now what convinced my wife.
That was a deal breaker.
Yeah, so that was not a deal breaker. So when she left and I said, "You can see it." I said it. So we now decided that when the term of the person was in our basement then was going to end, then we're going to move and put it on Airbnb. And it was a very good move. So we started that way. We staged it and we did everything, and it started moving so well. We stay at a side of Westera, which is somewhere where people will say, "Oh, it's far." But then the business was flying. Maybe because the airport is not far away. So that's another advantage. And so it started going on so well, and it made a lot of sense because one of the biggest expenses you have in Airbnb space is cleaning.
Because you have to make it
standard. But with you using your personal space, one of the advantages you have is that you don't have to call a cleaner when you can always do it by yourself. It's an extra income. So you put that cleaning fee that you're supposed to give to somebody else, you put it in your pocket. So everything was going really, really well. Exactly. And then I started looking at it and I said, okay, if this business is this good, why don't I start looking for opportunities to do more of it? And then that took me to research. As you know, economists like research. So I love research. So I started doing a lot of research. Who are the people that I can find in this industry? How many units do they have? How did they scale up to these units? And I'm telling you, I kid you not, I did heck of research. I did research more than I was burning candles on research. I was searching for everything everywhere, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and everything. And with pursuit of knowledge, you start gaining some things.
Sorry to steal your thunder. Research is one aspect so many people that want to venture into entrepreneurship don't think about. They think about the feasibility. They think about the return on investment. They think about the market demand, but they are not even thinking about what I'm planning to do. What's in the market for me? How do I get into more depth about it? And I'm even become a source of knowledge to myself, right? And you also talked about Western. For me, I think that's a very big opportunity there because we now have so many factories coming up in Western.
So that's a very interesting one. So recently we just heard they're doing a canola plant, and then the Amazon is bringing their factory, their starch power. So a lot of things are beginning to happen, and I'm like, you know what? Our place is turning into a gold mine just before you know it. So a lot of things like that, were the ones that are driving my energy. So I started looking into that industry, and we'll talk about research later because you hammering this for your community is very, very important. There is no industry you're going to be able to break into successfully and thrive if you don't do enough research. Because research, knowledge, those things are going to tell you why this thing is this way at any particular time. So you are not flustered. You're not scrambling, looking for answers.
And you're not even surprised when things begin to evolve because you have read about it, you are prepared for it.
So it's just one of those things. So that was my entry, and I started looking for a lot of information, and then I started getting information. And then I found a guy called Umza Zafar. Umza Zafar is maybe he'll be 28 this year. He used to live he's Canadian, but he was working in the US, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And So he was there working, and then he had the idea of this business, and then he was able to scale. So I started looking at the story, how did he scale? And then that's when I got into what they call Airbnb arbitrage. Airbnb arbitrage. Yes.
Okay. That's a new one for me.
Exactly. So arbitrage, just like what arbitrage means, which is taking advantage of a spread.
Yeah.
Right. So arbitrage means, so Airbnb arbitrage is based on the concept of I go and meet a landlord that has a place, he needs a renter, and I talk to him, oh, I'm a corporate person, I have a company, and what I do, I'm into hospitality. So I'm going to lease your place on my company name, just because you want to provide yourself as professional in what you do. So you do not want to necessarily say individual, right? So that it can look very, very professional. So I want to put this thing on my company name. I have my staff and everything that will take care of this building. You will not have anything to worry about. But then I'm going to sublease this building and put it on third-party platforms like Airbnb, Verbo, Expedia, Booking.com, and the likes. So what that does for you is that you don't have to wait till you can acquire a property before you can do this business.
That was going to be one of my questions. And thank you for diving into it, because so many people think that you need to own the property before you can go into subletting. And so now, but the only issue I have is so the issue, most of the time, the reasons why people don't want to rent from landlords is that some of the landlords want guaranteed income. So in that kind of business model, do you give the landlord a guaranteed income while you take care of the risk that comes with the unguaranteed income? Is that what you do? Or is the flip side?
Not necessarily. So what you have to do is you are into sales full time. So you know this. You've got to be able to pitch. Your pitching ability has to be top notch.
Yeah, to be top notch.
Exactly. So
you tell the person the value.
You have to convince. Yeah. So now, even though everyone wants guaranteed income, but we have to define guaranteed income. Guaranteed income is making sure that money comes in as at when due.
Cash flow. Yeah.
Right. And the person renting your place, what if he loses his job? So what you call guaranteed income may no longer be guaranteed income.
There's still a little bit of
there's still a little bit of risk to it.
Yeah.
And the person might also skip. So in real estate, there's something we call skip. When somebody suddenly goes to a place, you just get to your apartment, maybe a building you have and you're renting it out, and you just get there and you see that the person has moved out and without any notice or anything. So it's called skip. So they can skip. The person can also default, and you know that when it comes to defaulting, you have to go to court before you can kick the person out. It takes time.
Yeah.
So there are pros and cons to everything. But what you essentially want to pitch to the landlord, you have to tell the person enough reasons why you know what you are doing.
Yeah, why the person should rent to you.
Exactly, why the person should rent to you. And one of the ways that we cut that curve is that there's a platform on Airbnb. There's a statistical platform for Airbnb. It's called AirDNA.
Okay.
AirDNA provides all the projections for what a property can generate in a year, and it's very conservative.
Okay.
Sometimes they use it based on 55% occupancy, sometimes on 70%. Exactly. So I'm on that platform. You have to pay for it and everything. So you are able to take the address of any building in the world. You put it on that platform. You put the number of bed, number of bath, and everything, and it's going to generate the income for you.
So they have those data, or
they have that data on that platform, right? And the people definitely driving it are economists as well. So definitely. they take an average data of the hospitality industry. They are professionals at what they do. So when you take this, you already have an idea of what you can generate. So sometimes you present that projection to the landlord, sometimes you don't, but you just want to have enough reasons to convince them and just let them know, look, this place, I'm certain of the things that can happen with it. And that's the reason why it's always good to start with your place first, because then you now have a leverage. You now say, okay, for instance, in my place is a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom basement, and I'm making 2,500 every month. So this is a 3-bed, 2-bath. I'm guaranteed with my systems that I'll make 4,500 in a bad month, right? Your rent is just $2,000. So that is not going to be a problem for me at all. Now, one of the things that would tip that person over is that you've been able to prove to him that one bed, one bath, you're able to make 2,500.
So why not?
So why not? You understand what I'm saying? So those are evidences. You have evidence of that you can show, you know. And when you speak, like I said, in sales, when you speak confidently. You speak convincingly, so that they are not looking at you and I'm not really sure he knows what he's talking about.
Doesn't know what he's doing.
You know, stuff like that. So the biggest part is knowing, in sales that we talk about objections. So you've got to practice it enough. You've got to. So there's a sales pitch that we usually give students or people who want to venture into arbitrage, because it's something you have to be skilled at. So you have a sales pitch, you practice it enough times, and you become convincing. Also, the first landlord you speak to most likely will not be the landlord that will rent to you, because you're still learning the craft. So don't worry about the rejections. And you're also going to get a lot of rejections, because a lot of landlords also don't want to rent to people who want to sublease.
People, differ, right?
Exactly.
I get you.
You've got to come from all that angle, know that as well. So that's where the place of knowledge comes. As a landlord, will I also be open to subleasing my place if I were not interested in this business? So you have to think of a lot of objection questions, and the more landlords you speak to, I can tell you that at a point in time, the objection questions, you already know every one of them. Like right now, I was speaking to a landlord in a state in the US. I was speaking to a landlord in Columbus, Ohio. I will put it that way. In Columbus, Ohio. And all his objection questions, I just answered it so easily.
Because you can guess what they would think about.
I already know what the next question is. I'm used to it. And I'm telling you that before I got my place in Dallas, I spoke to over 50 companies. I was not bothered, because I already expected they would say no. So I just kept going till I got the answer.
I think that is a skill every salesperson should have.
Persuasion.
They have to be persuasive and not to take no for an answer.
So
you should be ready to, no matter what objection you get, you don't take things personal. You can't scale if you are somebody that takes things personal. Thanks for those, and thank you for really, getting out your wealth of experience and knowledge. I feel like I'm ready to start Airbnb. I think I should start Airbnb right now.
Let's go.
I'm going to speak to all the landlords in my community, just to rent out my or something. That's good. There was something I wanted, 2 more questions, and we're going to wrap it up. One of it is, we're talking about guaranteed income. You wanted to speak about that.
Yes. So guaranteed income, one thing people have to understand about guaranteed income is that there's risk in everything. Just like I always advise people on mortgage when they will say, I don't want to get a mortgage, I don't want to be owing that much. And I said, I've been in the rental space here. I've worked as a leasing specialist for 2 different companies. And one of the major things I can tell you categorically is that there is nothing like owing money. You rent, you are owing. You have mortgage, you are owing. So you choose your owing. Everybody's owing. Because as a collection officer, then every 1st of the month you're expected to pay your rent. By the 4th of the month, if we don't see your rent, 5th, we're already knocking your door with a quick notice. So what's the difference between you who is in a rented apartment, rented space, and someone who is having a mortgage? So I just use that as an explanation. But there's nothing that is guaranteed. So when you say guaranteed income, would you rather rent to somebody who you know has a cash flow that you can trace? Obviously, also in normal rental space, we always get pay stubs just to be sure that the person has income and all those things. But I can show you pay stub today and I can be fired tomorrow morning.
That's right.
The only stage that you ask for my income is when I actually want to rent. The moment I get into the space, you are not asking me the next month to show me your updated pay stubs. So what people actually call guaranteed income is not guaranteed income.
It's just instantaneous guarantee at point of
at that point. I'm telling you. So you have to look at a lot of things like personality, a lot of things like, so before you know if this person really fits my space. So, but if you know, that's where the projections come in that you show the landlord. So long someone that you should then show them projections, right? So you must be able to know in every city how many tourists tourists come there every year. You can see that on the city page. You can go there. That's where the research comes. You have to do so much research, and then you'll be able to say, you know what, 3 million people come into this place, come into this country every year, come into the city every year.
Of the city
exactly. Yeah, what area of the city they come into? So I'm pretty sure that there is no way for me not to be able to pay this amount. So it's easy for them to see it, right? I'm going to be listing the place at $100 per night. Your rent is just 1,200. I only need 15 days to break even. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I like that. Doing that research is very, very important. And it's not just going out there and say,
yes, and just to say one more thing on that. For instance, Regina has on AirDNA, Regina has a score of 98. Or even on 99, really? Over 100. Yeah, it's very, so people don't know that this city is actually a gold mine when it comes to that business. Also, the rental demand is 70 over 100, which means it's way below average, which means that, so in any city that you want to invest in Airbnb, you must make sure that the rental demand is at least 50.
Yeah.
If it's below 50, you must be sure of what you want to do.
You heard that. So it must be above 50.
It must be above 50, yeah.
Don't take too much of that.
No. Like except you are a seasoned a seasoned expert in that business, that once you get to a city, you know the kind of systems to put in place to gravitate people towards yours. But if you are somebody that is just starting out, no, you don't want to take that risk.
Or maybe you have an idea of potential growth for that.
Exactly. You know the kind of things that want to happen. Maybe a Toyota plant is coming, or you know, something major in that area.
Maybe a Kagi plant is coming up.
In my area, right? So it's something that you must know. So that projection shows you that there is possibility that people are looking for a space in this area. So there's no how that my place will not be profitable.
Yeah, profitability is very important. Thank you so much. The other question I wanted to ask, and I'm itching about it.
Okay.
Now you started your Airbnb in West Terra.
Why US?
West Terra, of all places in Regina. You grew that business, you get what I'm saying, out of Regina, out of Saskatchewan, out of Canada. And yeah, you're talking about Dallas, Texas, Columbus, Ohio. Only God knows where you are. Maybe in Washington D.C. Maybe you're even in Tampa, Florida. I don't know, right? So now tell me, how did you get to that level? And what's the difference? You're in Canada doing business in places in the United States. There's so many, a million questions running in my head. Cleaning, facility management, cleaning. Tell me about it.
Okay, yeah, it was definitely a big step.
Yeah, even as it is right now, I think it's the big step.
It requires a lot of boldness. Yeah. It requires requires belief. It requires someone who has decided to take fear and throw it into the trash can.
Yeah.
So Canada versus US. Let's start from there. It's easier for me to do business in Canada actually because I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
And so I can get easy access to credit because they have my credit score here, and so many, they can verify almost everything about me easily in this landscape. Yeah. But here's the problem with Canada: we do not have enough houses. So there is an housing shortage in Canada, and in Saskatchewan right now is terrible. The rental rate is below.
Time to get into rental business.
Exactly. The rental rate now is below 1%, and I'll come back to the thing that I must tell people later, which is regulations, how regulations affect Airbnb. Because currently now in Regina, you cannot get an Airbnb license for a secondary property. They will only give you for a primary property. Yes, because the rental rate is below 1%. They are trying their best to make sure that people are renting their spaces to renters and not for hospitality. Okay. So because people see the money in Airbnb, everybody's putting their place on Airbnb, right? And then people that want to rent, they don't have a place. So there's a big housing shortage in Saskatchewan. It's terrible.
But the regulation also reduces the potential.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So, but it's also Canada-wide. So how many companies do you really see in Canada that even in bigger places like BC and the Montreals of this world and the Torontos and all, that you say, okay, I want to rent 5 units from you, right? The number of people asking for rent are a lot. So they look at it and I say, one individual is trying to rent 5 units. What is the probability that you are going to be able to pay this? Meanwhile, if I rent this to 5 different families, I'm guaranteed. Remember the mentality around guaranteed rent, right? Which, in all fairness, for a landlord is a safer net.
Safer.
Yes, right. I won't lie to you that Airbnb is more risky for a landlord to go into. But I will also tell you why some landlords agree to it, because people have their places for 4 or 5 months, nobody's renting it. So why not give it to an Airbnb person that knows what he's doing and can definitely bring in the money?
Guaranteed.
And then the guaranteed income as well. So it's subjective. So when you look at Canadian space, because we don't have that volume, it's difficult scaling this business. Now, I know people that have scaled in Canada. I know a couple of people that have scaled in Canada and they are doing very, very well. But it's just that it's more tougher to do it than in the US. Now, in the US, they have insane volume. It's not just volume, they have insane volume. You travel a lot, so you know what I'm talking. They have insane volume. So there are companies that they have apartment of 300 and something units, and more than 100 of them are almost vacant. They need help. So an individual walking up to them and say, I want to take 20 units, I want to put it on Airbnb, and I know what I'm doing and everything. They're going to give it to you. As a matter of fact, they're not just going to give it to you. They're going to give you 2 months concession, 3 months concession. Yes. In some cases, I've seen them giving someone 4 months concession.
Interesting.
Yes, because they've had that place for such a long time and nobody is there.
Happy that somebody is coming.
So now you are telling them, so one of the things we say is that I want to rent the place for 2 to 3 years. So I now come and say I want to put this place on a 3-year lease. The landlord is surely looking and saying, you know what? I've been losing for the past 6 months. Somebody is guaranteeing me 3 years. I will give you 3 months concession. So far, I know that after that 3 months,
you are locked in a contract.
I'm telling you, for another 2 years and 9 months, I'm guaranteed rent. Of course, he will take that option because of the volume. So there is nothing wrong with the Canadian landscape. It's just a question of the volume. So I looked at if I want to expand, if I want to scale the best, where is the best place for me? And when I analyzed both markets, it was US that was a better market to scale. Also because their attitude to business is also some way better than Canada. I'm sorry, but that's just...
of course. There are 2 different markets.
Yes.
The business models will be different. Like,
the US is more capitalist driven. So
even in Canada, the business model, the market in Saskatchewan is different from the market in Calgary. I mean, I do business in every province in Canada, and I know the difference. Quebec is a very different market.
Distinct.
Quebec's market they are not here. They are not with me. So, and anytime I do business, I don't want to go into that. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
So I really learned a lot from this.
I want to give your people a bonus. And the bonus will be regulations. So the biggest issue, because I won't tell you all the juicy parts without telling you the cons. The biggest issue with Airbnb is regulations. The city council can wake up one morning, have a sitting, and they decide they want to revoke everyone's Airbnb licenses. They can decide they want to cancel Airbnb. They can decide anything. The MPs can meet in their house and decide that they want to vote on deciding to change the regulations around Airbnb. And I'll give you 2 examples. For instance, in BC this year, they've not changed the rule. So you can only do Airbnb with a space within your primary space. So you can no longer do arbitrage. Almost all arbitrage in BC is now dead.
So wow.
Yes.
Wow. So you are saying that as you're going into it, you have to go in with caution.
My days.
That things can change.
For instance, Dallas, where I'm operating 2 units right now, the apartment, you cannot do Airbnb in areas zoned to single family housing. So that rule just started last year. And they just decided it. And there's nothing anybody can do. And it has affected thousands of hosts, thousands of people. So that's the downside of Airbnb, because it's subject to regulations of whatever city or whatever state. So the state can make a rule, the city can make a rule, and that's the end of your business within one day. For instance, I know a woman that was in New York and was making tons of money, New York is
Yeah.
high risk, high reward because it's very expensive. So if you have, so she was printing money.
High reward, yeah.
She was printing money. But then the New York City stood up and then they cancelled Airbnb. Yeah, they cancelled people using their spaces for Airbnb, whichever, whether primary or secondary, whatever it
just
is.
Airbnb, or does that include Vrbo?
Yes, it includes all third-party platforms. Any shop. They cancelled everything.
Wow.
And everybody got into trouble. And so all the New York City Airbnb hosts, they all died. So that woman now,
those that already have leasing contracts with landlords.
That's where the problem starts from. That's where the problem is. So as interesting as it is, it has its own downside. Yeah. In fact, even when you have contract signed, another problem can still even arise with your company. For instance, now the property manager that approved this deal can be fired next tomorrow.
Yeah.
Can leave the company 2 years time, right? But the what you use to mitigate against that is making sure that there's a lease addendum signed by the company at the time you were making that deal. So you're able to produce that to whichever manager comes and say, hey, look, I'm legally allowed to use this space. So even if they now want to deliberately cancel, that issue will have to go to court and everything, and whatever comes out of it, you will not be responsible because you have a legally binding contract. So that one is a little issue. But when it comes to regulations, honestly, that is volatile. The city can stand up, the state can stand up from the House of Assembly and just decide anything, and that can drive people out of business. And I think that's the biggest fear that people have. So that's why you have to do a lot of research. Yeah. So know the city that you're going to, know the Airbnb regulations there before you ever decide to go and start something there. And I think that's just what it is.
Thank you so much. This is one thing you will not get from all those motivational speakers on YouTube, because most of the people just talk about the pros, and I like the way you're objective. It's good to have a full view, full view of everything, both the pros, the cons, the risk involved, so that when you go into that business intelligently. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for getting us out there with your wealth of experience. I mean,
absolutely.
I thought I knew so many things about you. It's interesting to hear this part of you. Thank you once again, and so again, the Evolve family, thank you for joining us. I believe that you've learned a lot from my guest, Mr. Dapo. He is somebody, like when I said I hold him high esteem, now you know what I mean, right? And by the way, I believe you do podcasts, or you have seminars that you do once in a while.
Yeah, I do seminars once in a while on real estate. Yeah, because real estate is vast, there's a lot of other things. I could hold one in June, but I'm very busy. I have a lot of travels I have to do. So it depends on what my schedule looks like. But definitely another training is coming up. But the full-scale training of people in real estate, all kinds that they want to learn, will start late this year or by January. Okay. That time we'll really have a school for it, yes. And then we'll be taking monthly intakes.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about a real estate masterclass, and I like the fact that you're thinking about that.
Absolutely.
On this channel, I will one of my videos, as soon as it starts, I'm gonna share it on the channel so that people that are following us can have access to the link to register. Once again, thank you so much for coming.
It was nice being here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you everyone that have joined the video today. We have a mandate to keep bringing you interesting and inspiring content like this, so that we can all evolve to the better version of ourselves, evolving, intelligently, academically, spiritually, financially, wealth creation, so that we can become better people. So look out for the next guest, next video. I bet you we're going into summer. We're going to be having some very interesting content. Vox Pop, I promise you, Vox Pop. They're going to be product to review on the channel, and I'm also going to be bringing very good, intelligent people like Mr. Dapo to share from their wealth of experience. I want to say thank you to my crew for also helping me to set up the video today. Thank you, Evolve crew. Thank you once again for coming. Have a wonderful day. Bye.